Hello everyone, I'm very happy to say that the last video is doing rather well and is currently sitting at 140 views, which is rather... Well, granted, I have had videos do better, but I'm very happy with it, both because of how fast it happened, and the fact that right off the bat, it earned me 3 more subscribers. I'm now currently sitting at 231. We'll see if that number sticks around by the time this video is uploaded. Editing guy will put up some scary numbers if it isn't, because YouTube does like to, unfortunately, shave a subscriber every time I earn one, which is really annoying when I only earn one subscriber, because it looks like I earned one, and then YouTube just takes it back. But irrelevant. Right now, I am going to try to handle this video a bit differently, because to me, trying to do the same thing again that I did last video, hoping that it gets the same or better results, feels like the algorithm punishes me for that every time. So instead, we're going to continue to commit. I think the way to go would be to invest more into the video, i.e., immerse myself. I am not me, a normal burnt out loser. I am my Minecraft character, who is also a burnt out loser, just a little less normal. How that goes? Well, we'll see. I'm not sure I'll be able to dive right into creating a whole story, but I am going to start, at the very least, laying the foundation for one. So, that said, let's get on with things, shall we? Hello all. Welcome back to my bunker. Wouldn't be a video of mine without going down here at least once at this point. So, right now I have 2 main tasks for this video and 2 concerns. And the reason why I differentiate those is to, well, better sort things out between things that I can do now without planning or without much planning, and things that are either long-term concerns or that need significant planning to enact. Task number 1, as I went over in the last video, is to build covered tunnels underneath the ring, both for safety, to make mobs less likely to spawn between me, the towers, and the building. As in, when I am between the towers and the building, I do not want mobs in that space. And it would give me more leeway into going out there and coming back in. Especially since, say, worst case scenario, a creeper blows up, they will instead take out some of the tunnels instead of the main structure itself and put my golems at risk. Yes, it's all temporary, so technically I shouldn't be going this far, but that really only works if it's temporary for days at most, not months. And of course, there's also the matter of aesthetics. I do think that the tunnels around the base will look good, sort of like an visitor's thing for guests before they enter the main structure itself. And if I lean more towards hotel vibes, that will actually work out pretty nice, like a reception area. But that's neither here or there for now. I do have some ideas for how that'll work out, some more promising than others. Maybe I will decide to use concrete for the flooring. We'll see. Heaven knows that I won't be able to use any for the main structure for some time. But again, we'll figure that out as we go along. Task number 2, simple as always, and will probably be the main thing for some time, barring critical boredom. Yes, boredom, because even I can't just mindlessly dig forever. Or if I'm going to gear up to make some part of the structure or a new temporary structure, and I do not have the materials that I would need. Mostly in terms of specialty or mob specific materials, like certain kinds of wood, though I have gathered quite a few tree saplings of various kinds by now, or some other rarer material, namely sea lanterns, when I'm finally brave enough to grab them. Alright, that said, that's the inside of my head. On to the concerns. Concern number 1. Now that I've decided more or less what direction to go to in my videos, I have to really address who I am and who am I. I might be able to start as a burnt out loser, because I am one, but I certainly can't intend to always be one. I have to have a long-term plan, an eventual goal or ambition. And right now, strange noise, and right now, I still don't know what I truly want, both as a person and as a character. So that's going to be something to figure out as everything else is going on. Concern number 2, however, both is a base for number 1, but is also a path to its answer. What is my story to tell? What kind of story can I tell? Will this be a path to triumph, to ambition, to some kind of ultimate achievement, a tower from hell to heaven, basically? Sort of like Babel. Or will it just be an elevated form of mediocrity? That despite all I've done, it still is nothing more than an achievement by a burnt out loser. Meaningless, but still worthy of some kind of recognition. That will have to be sorted out later, and I'll figure things out as I go along. That said, enough of this. We're going to do things a bit differently. I'm going to be mostly silent in the live play, because I intend to do mostly voiceovers by now. This will give me a lot more freedom in what to show during the video, and should let me be able to cut things more easily and make shorter videos overall. If anything, at the very least, I won't be uploading a video past an hour again. That said, enough of this. Let's get on with things for real now. Hey fellas, post-recording loser here. I received a comment that expressed interest in the showing of a day counter. So while there is no day counter in this video, because obviously the idea didn't occur to me yet, I will go ahead and put this bit in for posterity to show that after the video was largely recorded, I am currently on day 920. Soon to be 921 as soon as midnight rolls around, I reckon. Unless day counters are reset at dawn. Heck, we can check that right now. There we go. That's a funny angle. 921. Alright, other than that, while I have you here, I might as well show you the shenanigans we got up to. First up, the usual. Got a bit deeper. Not as deep as I'd like, mostly because of... Well, I'll be honest, I spent a lot of the time, off camera of course, gathering up amethyst shards to stockpile it up, because thanks to, let's say, a last minute decision on my part, aka an impulsive thing that I kind of regret now, I decided that I would like to use a lot of tinted glass. The good news about tinted glass is that uh, the recipe for it effectively doubles your glass, so you are saving on at least a bit of sand, but what you save on sand, you definitely lose on time. That said, I build this bit later, and I do encourage you to watch that. I also expanded the bamboo spot from a 4x4 farm, I suppose, to a 6x6. Because I decided that if I'm going to be smelting so much glass, I should stop using coal for it, and instead, bamboo. I go into specifics later, so I'm not gonna talk about it too much now. Give you something to actually watch till later. And I also expanded the cactus farm. I didn't really need to do this, but I was hoping that I would be able to see more flowers, and overall, that's only been partially successful. Flowers are kind of random. I'm not sure if they decide to randomly show up on a cactus once it's grown, or if they can randomly show up on an already grown cactus. I feel like I've seen it happen both ways, but I could have just been wrong and not paying the most attention. Hate those motor noises. Other than that, yeah, I ain't the happiest about this, mostly because of a rather stupid oversight of mine that you will be laughing at later, rest assured. But let's just say I wanted to use lanterns, and you can probably already guess the issue from there. Minecraft really needs cleaner block light sources. Right now, there's really only two options. Glowstone lamps. I mean, sure, you can use glowstone itself, but it looks ugly. Glowstone lamps are neater, but you need, obviously, a redstone signal for that, so that's its own brand of nightmare. Because you can't just get away with doing this. To hide it, you need to build more under this, like having redstone circuits under here or something along that line. Oh, bones. Don't mind if I do. Yeah. When did these get unplanted? Irrelevant. I hardly use this farm anyway. And sea lanterns are obviously preferable, but they're basically impossible for me to get at this juncture. And any other block light sources are kind of ugly, I'm not gonna lie, mostly because they're rough lights. There's shroom lights, those look ugly. There's glowstone, already mentioned that, that's ugly. What else is there? Torches, well, they're serviceable because you see them everywhere. You get used to them, so they're decent, but they're not great. They don't add to the aesthetic. And then I feel like I'm forgetting some other block light source. Let's see, isn't frog lights. But those are so convoluted to get because you need to have frogs eat a magma cube, and to do that, if you have a certain color in mind, you need to get a frog of that color and go to the nether. And I think one of the frog light colors is exclusive to a frog that doesn't actually naturally spawn. You'd have to spawn one yourself. So that's its own nightmare. And frog lights don't look terrible, but they're not what I'm going for. The only block that works is sea lanterns, and I can't get them. I have considered replacing these torches with soul torches, because that will at least get the color right. It would be even better if I could make soul lanterns work, but again, lanterns can't work, and you'll see why later. So the only real option that I have, and I'm not even sure if this flooring is going to be the one that stays, you'll see what I get up to later in the video, is if I replace it partially, at least, with sea lanterns. It wouldn't be the cleanest, but it would work. Overall, this is all a work in progress, and I'm figuring things out as I go. That said, I'm happy that you're here to watch me figure it out. So, enough yapping postscript, let's get on with things and back to the video. In my opinion, if you're gonna have a spyglass take an amethyst shard, you should have it for both ends. Both for the little bit of glass that you look in and for the bit that you look out of. But man, about time that I make one of these. I had the shards for it ages ago. Am I sneaking? Why am I walking so slow? How's it look when I'm in perspective? Wow, that is ridiculously slowly. Is it slower than sneaking? There's sneaking speed. Yeah, it's about the same as sneaking. Of all things. Oh, I thought it just became night, but no, it's raining. And how's it look from the front? A screen against a screen. How marvelous. Alright, enough messing with it. Shame it doesn't hide the HUD when you look through it. Otherwise, it could be used for a real cinematic shot. Oh well. Alright, that's all my pickaxes gone. I reckon that means we can play around with the idea of construction now. Okay. Now, there's 3 paths I have in mind when it comes to the flooring. Or, actually no, 4 ideas that I have in mind when it comes to the flooring of the tunnel. One, of course, is plain cobblestone like I originally intended. One is all black concrete, the other is all white concrete, and the last is a checkerboard pattern. For now, let's keep it cheap. Make one of these tunnels out of cobblestone, see how that looks. Doesn't look bad. Oh, I was worried that it would set the concrete before I was ready, but oh yeah, that's why I have it under this. Well, that's not the explicit reason why I have this going under this, it's a coincidence, but yeah, that protects this. Definitely like the look of the black concrete. It definitely looks fancier than the cobblestone, but it does miss some of that rustic aesthetic. Alright, now let's try the white concrete. White looks good too, and I do think it looks better in an enclosed environment as well. Which just leaves the final test. I only just realized that concrete powder is basically colored sand. But yeah, this one, hmm, I don't know how to feel about this one. To me, this one would really work the best in a tunnel environment. Not a tunnel environment, in like an actual room. But out in the open like this, I'm not sure how I feel about it. I actually thought this was gonna be the strongest contender, but I feel like it's the weakest. Not sure if it's weaker than normal cobblestone, though. Hmm. I'm really not sure which one I shall go with. I don't feel the greatest about this one, and cobblestone, well, it's serviceable and cheap, but that's about all it's got going for it. But I'm not sure which one I prefer of all black or all white concrete. So I'm going to do something a bit foolish. Because I'm not actually going to make the tunnels just yet. When I made the stone cutter over there, all the way over there, you can just see it now. I was scrolling through the options I had available with the stone types I had, and a lot of them were decent, but my heart was dead set on deep slate, especially deep slate tiles and bricks. But unfortunately, I am not at deep slate yet, and I don't have a surplus of them. I mean, sure, I could make a special mining trip specifically to get deep slate, but considering deep slate is basically just cobblestone but further down below, I feel like that would be a waste and would take away from the main objective here. So, that being said, the foolish part that I'm going to do anyway because I feel like I got enough comments last time that at least shows that there's potential that some of you might be able to answer this question. And if not, I'm gonna pin it in the comments anyway to give it that much more of a chance. Which tunnel flooring do you think would suit me the best? Concrete? Checkerboard? All black concrete or all white concrete? Vote in the comments below. That said, enough stalling, let's get on with it. Running low on food, so it's time to see what we fish up. You are seriously harshing my vibe. Alright, that's a full stack of cod. Let's look at the spoils. Bit of rotten meat, pufferfish and salmon, of course. Another curse of vanishing fishing rod, useless. Sharpness 3. Bane of Arthropods 4. 2 bones. A power 3 and infinity bow, which is interesting but ultimately useless. A mending fishing rod, always neat. Tropical fish. A luck of the sea 2 rod. And an efficiency 4 book. I think they go up to 5, but I'm not sure. I'll have to look it up. I'll actually need another chest to hold this all. But first, let's cook all of this up first. Guess you both are fans, eh? Listen to the song again to hype myself up a bit. So it turns out, I'm only realizing now that I'm going to need a lot of sand because I'm gonna need a whole heck of a lot of glass in order to finish these tunnels. So there's two main ideas for the design. This will be brick, then glass walls, glass ceiling, And the upper left and right corners will be deep slate tiles, and these will be deep slate bricks. That's the main idea. The second idea is to have the same for the most part, but instead of a full glass wall, it'll have wood of some kind, with only the top parts of the left and right being glass. And I'm not sure what block I would want, because I'm not sure which idea I'm going with in the end. But the second idea will also have alternating glass and some other block style. And the lanterns will be hanging off the some other block. While for the first idea, they just be hanging out on the floor. I'd also prefer using soul lanterns versus normal lanterns, but to get soul lanterns, I would have to hit up the nether first, and I'm not sure I'm ready for that, especially not now. And I need a lot more diamonds for proper armor. I know technically you can do just fine in the nether with only iron armor, but I don't want to take that risk. I want full diamond. And of course, full diamond with mending. And if I'm visiting the nether anyway, then I might as well pick up some netherite too. 16 stacks of sand. I won't say that's more than enough, but it should be at least enough to cover the project, at least. Smelting it all will be an issue, though. I don't want to run through too much coal. Let me check something, actually. Okay, so bamboo is a valid fuel source, but not the most efficient one. One stalk, I suppose, of bamboo doesn't even burn for as long as a stick does. It takes 4 bamboo to smelt an item versus 2 sticks, unless they changed it, but I don't think they did. If you take 9 bamboo and turn it into a block, it lasts about as long as a plank does, 1.5 blocks. But if you go to a crafting table or use your inventory and turn a block of bamboo into 2 planks, those planks also last about as long as a plank does, 1.5 items. AKA, by turning bamboo blocks into bamboo planks, you effectively double it. So while a block of bamboo technically doesn't smelt as many items as burning the stalks themselves, since it takes 4 stalks to smelt an item, that means 8 stalks would have been able to smelt 2 items and a quarter for the stalk left over versus a 1.5 that block of bamboo will do. But if you then turn that block of bamboo into planks, you wind up with 3 items smelted versus 1.5 for a block of bamboo or 2.25 for the stalks on their own. So that is a profit, quote unquote, of 3/4 of a block. Still not as efficient as coal, of course, but it is endlessly renewable, and frankly, the thing grows fast enough that if I took like a few minutes just to harvest it non-stop, I'd have more than enough for all of my needs. So maybe I should start doing that. Also just realized that the breaking animation for bamboo when you punch it down always acts like it's in the middle of the block when bamboo can be planted in a random position on the block itself, so that's kind of funny. I was standing on that just to see if when a piece of bamboo grows, if it will push you up. No, it just straight up impaled me, like all the way through. Because it didn't just grow one block at once, it grew up two. And somehow a piece of bamboo wound up all the way up there. There we go. Apparently, they can drop dirt on glass. That is awful. Because if they put up dirt on the glass, that leaves spawning locations up there. Thankfully, it's glass, so anytime I spot something like that, I can just go up there to remove it. But still, what a pain. Thank goodness for this wall of protective dirt. And man, this thing is really being torn up. Sure, it's coming back together on this side. Same thing on that side too, actually. But, well, chances are the view from that angle is going to be worse for a while. Now, where on earth did you come from? Well, whatever. Alright, it took me a long while to get everything ready, especially for the tinted glass, which was a last-minute decision, relatively speaking. I had to stockpile a whole lot of amethyst shards, and admittedly, a whole lot of that was off-camera entirely between recording sessions, otherwise I probably wouldn't have been able to get as much in time. And I have more than these two stacks, or at least more ready to make. So this is my main idea of the tunnel design to go with, and it is the one that I'm most likely going to take. Hey again, everyone. It's the outro guy. Outro guy? Jeez, it's been ages since I did a proper outro. It's the voiceover guy here to share my thoughts on a few different matters and some ideas on what might be coming ahead in the future. But first, of course, we must begin with what isn't coming ahead, at least not anytime soon. What won't be coming ahead is mods. Specifically mods that will actually give me more options when it comes to recording, like say different camera angles, being able to use fixed camera perspectives. I've seen a lot of YouTubers do good things with that, and I would like to join them someday, but that ain't in the cards anytime soon, mostly because I don't have the skills for that, and right now, I'm just trying to find my footing properly before I invest any significant time into learning how these things work. That said, I do hope that you enjoy the music in this video. I made a new one, I made a new tune for this video. A nice little loop that I quite enjoy, and I do think I did better than the last time. Some of my friends even said that it sounded kinda good instead of kind of iffy. Well, no, they didn't say the last one was iffy. They said, as long as you talk over it, it'll be fine. They weren't being mean, of course. They were just being realistic, I should say. And of course I was too, which is why I took no offense to that. That said, I do plan to make it so that each video has a new tune, and I also use the tune of the previous video. So at the current plan, or my current plans, basically say that there will be no more than 2 tunes per video. This is both so that I constantly get practice in making new tunes. For the next video, I'm planning to actually layer some more instruments in there, but we'll see how that turns out. While also making sure that I don't stress out too much about constantly coming up with new material. The first tune, I want to say, took me a solid day or so to make, and I'll be honest, I did at some point just sort of say, whatever, we'll just make it up as we go along, and we ended up with that tune, which is serviceable. This time, luckily I was finished with the majority of editing rather early, so I took 3 days or so, more or less fine-tuning this, and I can certainly say that I love the result much better. It shall not have taken 3 days. There were other circumstances mixed into that, admittedly. But I can say that the time wasn't wasted. I merely spent too much. Another thing that I'm not as worried about, though I am still gonna keep an eye on it, of course, is how long these videos end up being. Because when I consider the fact that I'm adding more after the fact, compared to just working with what I have before, these videos are tending to trend longer. And I don't think that that's quite as bad as I used to think it was. Of course, I'm still gonna try to aim for 45 minutes, but as long as I got it under an hour, like I did here, I think I'm okay with that, and I hope you are too. That said, I do have other plans in mind, and those... it's hard to say. They're still in very early stages yet, and it's hard to say how much time I'll wind up needing for them until the moment of, essentially. Of course, that being said, I should have give you some hint, so to speak. The current storyboarding, so to speak, I'm not actually doing anything that formal, but we can say that the beginning of the story that I have in mind will begin on the video after the next one. So there's this one, the next one that's coming out ideally around June the 5th. This one is ideally coming out on the 22nd this month. Next one, the 5th. And the one after that, the 19th. So June the 19th. Of course, these are just estimations. Don't hold me to that. I am holding myself to that. And if I miss them, I will be severely disappointed in myself. But naturally, that's on me, not on you. That said, I do still plan to drop some hints here and there. There will be a couple this video, if you haven't seen already, hint hint. And there will be more in the next video. I'm hoping to make it especially obvious for the video after the next one. There's going to be... well, actually, it will be very obvious. ideally at a first glance. That said, and I do know that I'm saying that said a lot, but it just works out so well. But that said, don't get too excited. This isn't going to be some grand adventure or some fantastical ambition. Our goal is just the same as it was before: build a tower from bedrock to build height and make it look good. Filling it up with things that could come later. I just want it functional and safe from the elements. And safe from Enderman, but we can't have everything, I suppose. So it will be well lit, safe from monsters, all the good parts of having a Minecraft home. It might have secondary structures too, but the key thing is the tower. That's always been the goal, and it will always be the goal. Once the tower is complete, even if I fail and only manage the frame of it, we'll call that the baseline. This series succeeds when I finish building up the frame of the tower. And the frame will be the first part. Then, after the frame, there will be the differentials so that I can properly mark out where the floor should be. The floors closest to sea level will, of course, have special entrances to accommodate it in case it's not perfectly level with the ones that currently exist on the temporary structure. As for the basement and the sky, though, I do think those should be special, as in the very bottom and the very top floor, since technically speaking, any floor under sea level could be a basement, but I feel like that's going against the spirit of things. As for what comes after this, that's a difficult question to answer. I mean, I could certainly continue the world as is. Well, I'm keeping mostly to myself, and while I have mapped out quite a bit of the surrounding area, it's not like I am some grand explorer, so quite a few of the world is still unloaded. If I wanted to add mods and the like, I believe I should be able to do that. And of course, that also goes for future updates. I was actually, I mean, don't get me wrong, I was a bit baffled with why Minecraft slowed down its updates for quite a while. I feel like they've been speeding up again, but I will say that them slowing down probably helped a lot of mods catch up. Then again, there's these things called Fabric and Forge and a couple of other platforms which I don't really get, but essentially they're their own versions of Minecraft that help mods work better. I'll be honest, a lot of it goes off over my head, and the only reason I know about them at all is because of a couple of servers that friends used to run. I miss those, let me tell ya, but different circumstances. Might as well feels like a different life by now. At this point, anyway. Anyway, gonna pause for a bit because I'm gonna let my live self speak in a few seconds, and you will quickly realize the issue that I failed to see coming until this point. Well, that's bothersome. I got all this way only to realize that if I'm gonna hang the lanterns off the ceiling, then it can't be in the way of my own path. Ah, what a messy compromise. Yep, as was probably obvious to most of you who were even slightly familiar with how lanterns actually worked, they couldn't actually fit in the 2x2 tunnel with the player still being able to walk through it, whether they're hanging off the ceiling or laying on the ground. They would have created literal barriers to my progression. Not unlike an old horror game where you're stopped by a waist-high fence or prevented from progressing with slightly tumbled rubble that still has a clear hole that you could crawl through if you wanted to. Yeah, this was pretty foolish of me, and I do feel a bit dumb about it, but to be fair to me, this was the first time I ever actually built a lantern with the intention of actually using it as a light source. I have built one, I don't think in this world, but I have built one at some point before, just to see how it looks and hear the noises it makes, and it was fine. And I do think soul lanterns look quite good from what I've seen of them. The normal lantern is meh, but you know, there's still a bit of professionalism that it has that you don't get from normal torches. But of course, normal torches are better because not only are they cheaper, you don't have to use iron for them, albeit... How much iron do you use again? Yeah, it's 8 iron nuggets for one lantern. I actually had to do some off-screen mining in that cave I found last video. Or... did I find it last video? Probably. Not important anyway. I actually had to do some mining in that cave just so that my iron supplies weren't too depleted by that sidetrack. And then it turns out I can't even use them anyway. Not as I originally intended them to. Anyway. I probably messed up that sentence, but I'm a bit too exhausted to really analyze it, so it's staying in. At least I don't regret the time I spent gathering all that amethyst to make the tinted glass, because I do genuinely like the look of it. That said, I'm still not sure why I decided to build the example tunnel on the checkerboard floor, which I explicitly said earlier in the video was one of my least favorite floors. I mean, granted, replacing the floor is decently easy, at least compared to anything else, but maybe I just did it because it's the one to the north of the building, or at least I assume so. I don't really know what was going on in my head at the time. Probably something like that or along those lines. You can also see how I did a sort of circular thing. Not a true circle, of course, but it's clear that I'm building a not exactly square structure, or at least preparing to put one down around the ladders that lead to the ring above. Truthfully, I don't really know what I'm going to do from there. I could enclose and cover the structure, or I could replace it wholesale, but I do feel like that's some time away. As I said, this is simply an example tunnel to show off how I want it to look more or less in shape, if not in material. again, I want to use deep slate bricks for the vast majority of this construction. Well, deep slate bricks and tiles. That said, I'm not sure if I'll replace the ring with it. I kinda want it to stay wood, but I suppose I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. Which is kind of funny because the ring is nothing but bridges. A bridge to nowhere except itself. Like a ring, but square. Alright, I have about 2 or so minutes left to speak. So, first off, to those of you who've made it this far, I thank you sincerely and gratefully. Of course, I'm already thankful because you clicked on the video in the first place, but still, it must be said. And of course, I also appreciate the watch time as much as the view. If you haven't already, I do implore you to subscribe. But that said, I don't feel like I can leave it at simply that, so I will give a small hint to the story at large. I'm not sure how faithful I will remain to it, but the idea has stuck in my head for a while, so I reckon some elements of it will sneak its way into the story regardless. The golems are constructs, so to speak. But they aren't simply machines. They are constructs built to house, I suppose you could call them a spirit of sorts. This spirit takes on some of the qualities of the material that they are constructed out of, as in the materials the construct is constructed out of, but they also take, let's say, some personality traits from both the person who created them and, of course, the whims of fate themselves. I'll leave you with that little tidbit as we get on with the remaining portion of the video. Thank you once again. Well, it certainly ain't perfect. Heck, it looks like some sort of, I don't know, fancy hallway that you'd see in like an amusement park. But honestly, I don't hate the look. And it does look quite nice from the inside, though I'm not sure this is the best flooring for it. So, that said, if I didn't already mention it before, or if I cut that bit out, this is more or less the idea for the tunnel. Wooden planks, though I might replace those with logs. That will definitely take a lot longer, though. Deep slate bricks instead of stone bricks. Polished deep slate or deep slate tiles. Most likely deep slate tiles. The tinted glass, which will stay, hopefully. I really don't want to bother getting silk touch to get it all down again. And I wanted to incorporate lanterns into it, and later on, when I'm ready to take on the nether, soul lanterns, but you know, considering the whole lanterns actually have collision thing, I do think I have to stick with my original idea and go with a block light source and replace the floor and replace certain floor tiles with it. Which is definitely infinitely preferable, but there are only so many block light sources, and the most viable would be sea lanterns, which are difficult to get, needless to say, and frog lights, which are convoluted to get, needless to say, especially if you want a certain color of frog light. But that said, that will be enough for this video. Bon, where are you? There you are. It's your time to shine. That's right. Art on screen now. This time I did actually discuss things with Dulcerity a bit more, so this piece might be something special compared to the other pieces. Not that any of them aren't special, but this one I decided to explicitly give them more creative liberty on, and I have to say, I assume, I really love how it turns out. I mean, I'm gonna love it either way, but exactly how it looks remains to be seen, of course, because I'm saying this before the piece is done, let alone even partially completed so that I could see a whip of it or something. But I'm sure that it won't disappoint me or anyone else who gets this far to see it. Alright, that said, Kurt, on, Bert, Don, Dilly, Valley. This video is going to be very different, and how that turns out, well, that's all up to me. That said, thank you all for watching, and do have a wonderful rest of your evening. I'll see you all again in another couple of weeks. Take care.